cultivation techniques being passed down. Xiao Wu said, since that young man claimed to be from the city lord's mansion, then even if he is in the Black Obsidian rank, he would probably have a Black Obsidian rank expert following him. In the future, we must treat him with courteous and care. Yes, Xiao Kuang respectfully answered. Luckily he was smart earlier and did not offend Nai Ling. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't even know how he would die. Xiao Wu continued to survey the area a while longer, then said, 7 people went in that direction. 6 of them have rather heavy footsteps, they should be the underlings of Xiao Lang. The one with the lighter footsteps should be that youth. They followed the trail all the way to the crossroad. Father, they went in that direction. Could it be that they are going to the Black Spring? Xiao Kuang said in shock. Once someone enters the Black Spring, it's instant death. Even a Black Obsidian rank demon spiritualist might not be able to walk out, said Xiao Wu, inhaling a mouthful of cold air. They don't dare to continue forward because of the message that's been passed down since their ancestors. No one is allowed to go near the Black Spring. In the past, there were lots of people that didn't believe the message and entered, but they never returned. Xiao Lang's underlings wouldn't dare to enter the Black Spring. It's probably the youth who forced them in. What is that youth intending to do by going to the Black Spring? Xiao Wu knitted his brows as he looked towards the depths of the Black Forest. Nai Li and his group have already been in there for God knows how long. Father, what should we do next? Asked Xiao Kuang. Xiao Wu looked towards the dark forest and solemnly said, you wait here with some of our people, but don't enter the forest. Wait at least 2 days. If the youth comes out, then immediately bring him to our place as a guest. If he doesn't come out after 2 days, then return. Yes, Xiao Kuang nodded. Deep in the dark forest, the place is filled with a light, black fog. As the group continued to walk, they realized that there wasn't any traces of anyone coming in here before. They only saw wild grass growing everywhere. There wasn't even a demon beast. However, the ground was filled with demon beast and human bones. The 6 walking in front were shaking as they continued to walk. Crack crack as they stepped on the bones of demon beasts, the sound of the bones breaking directly pierced into their trembling hearts. Gradually, their vision began to turn fuzzy, and they were staggering to the point that they were about to faint. Nai Li's right hand moved, and 6 balls flew into their mouths, forcing them to swallow it. He also took one for himself. This forest is very dense and secluded. There were many black oil trees inside that were emitting a huge amount of toxins. As time passes by, these toxins would accumulate. Creatures, like the demon beasts, will slowly be poisoned the moment they entered. They would start to lose their consciousness and eventually die as they fell down. Thereafter, the corpses of these demon beasts would rot and form type of miasma. After swallowing Nai Li's pill, the 6 of them immediately felt refreshed. They understood what's going on. They were almost turned into those corpses on the ground. Luckily, Nai Li's elixirs worked. After they passed through the dense forest, they gradually arrived at a muddy marsh area. There isn't a path to follow anymore. There is only a mud marsh in front of us. There are marshes in other places as well. Once someone enters this place, they will fall into it. No matter how high the cultivation is, it won't be of any use because these swamps contain poison. The skin will rot away the moment it comes in contact with this swamp. The 6 of them looked at Nai Li. They longed for him to say that they will not proceed any further and would let them leave. Chop some wood, make them into planks and lay them on the swamp. Nai Li calmly said. Hearing Nai Li's words, the 6 of them widened their mouths but did not say anything. In other swampy areas of the Heavenly Fate Plateau, they would definitely use this method. They thought that if they didn't mention it, Nai Li wouldn't be able to come up with the method to combat the swamp. They never thought that he would come up with the solution so easily. The 6 of them were crying bitterly in their hearts. Just what kind of monster did they encounter? He has a Black Obsidian rank cultivation at the age of 14, and his wisdom, agility, and thoughts were terrifyingly deep. They couldn't tell what Nai Li is thinking about in his head. After you guys help me complete 2 more objectives, you guys can go. First one is to lay down the root using planks. The second is to find some vines in the surrounding and make them into several thousands of meters of rope. They have to be sturdy. If you guys don't do a good job, you can remain here forever. Furthermore, don't try to get any ideas. The elixir that I gave you will only resolve the poison in your bodies for half an hour. Even if you guys leave this place, the poison will still take you. Once I give you guys the real antidote, Only then will the poison be truly resolved. Niley calmly said, "Young master, if we complete these tasks for you, we can really go," one of the guys asked with hope. They originally thought that they would be doomed. They never imagined that Niley would give them a path of living. The 5 others also looked at Niley. When they came to this black spring, they thought that they would definitely be dead. If Niley lets them off, they will be able to go back alive. I keep to my words. If you guys do a good job, I will let you all go. Since the main culprit is already dead, you 6 will have to repent sincerely and mend your ways, otherwise, I definitely won't let you off. Niley coldly snorted. "We will definitely mend our ways. Thank you, young master, for not killing us. We will definitely do a good job with the tasks you gave us." The 6 hurriedly kowtowed in thankfulness. When they return, they definitely won't dare to commit evil again. One reason was Xiao Lang, who was already dead, another was because the matter from today created a shadow in their hearts. If they can return alive, then that's simply the grace of the heavens. "Hurry up," said Niley. He sat cross-legged in one place and began cultivating his soul force. The 6 of them began to work quickly, chopping wood, and finding vines. Although they were weak and feeble in front of Niley, they are, after all, silver and gold rank experts. They were still fast with their tasks. When half an hour neared, the 6 of them felt dizzy again and Niley gave them more elixirs. Sure enough, the poison will break out in half an hour. This time, they were all well behaved and no longer had any thoughts of escaping. After 5 hours, the 6 of them finished their work and passed the completed rope to Niley. "This is the antidote, you guys can leave," Niley said, passing an elixir to each of them. "Many thanks to young master for not killing us. We will definitely be a good people in the future." The 6 of them kowtowed to Niley, took the elixirs and left immediately. They don't want to stay in this place filled with dangers lurking around for even an extra moment. The Black Spring is a mysterious place. In his previous life, Niley had unintentionally entered this place. Luckily, he did not die here and found some remnants. However, due to him only having limited knowledge in his previous life, he did not gain anything here and returned empty-handed. It wasn't until later that Niley found out that the remnants here are extraordinary. These remnants were definitely left behind by some apex experts. Following the route made by the planks, Niley skied over the marsh, and reached a bulging huge stone. It's an endless abyss at the bottom. Looking below, there's a cliff with a trail of black spring water flowing down, forming a vast waterfall. On the cliffs, there's a bulged-up platform. It seems like there's traces of human work here. At the bottom of the endless abyss, is a bottomless pond. Inside the water, there was a terrifying aura occasionally leaking out. There were also faint roars coming from demon beasts, creating a feeling of suffocation from the abyss. If someone fell into this pond, there wouldn't even be a corpse left. Although Niley has no idea what's inside the pond, he can be sure that there's definitely some terrifying demon beast within. Niley tied one end to the sturdy rope to a big tree and the other end dropped to the bottom of the cliff as he slowly moved down the rope, eventually landing on the platform. The platform has a circumference of 5 to 6 meters. The bottom of his feet and the wall are filled with all kinds of mysterious inscription patterns. In his previous life, Niley had only been able to reach to this point before he decided to leave, and did not take the chance to study these inscription pattern attentively. It wasn't until after he entered the Temporal Demon Spirit book he gained a deeper understanding towards these inscription patterns. These inscription patterns are very profound, probably even a supreme expert might not be able to lay them down. Great translation quality. Chapter 195, Fire Spiritual God. Translator, Furia Editor, Furia. 3 sealing inscription patterns with the lighting attribute and 6 sacred flame offensive inscription patterns. It'll be disastrous if these explode. I have to break the offensive inscription patterns before I open the sealing inscription patterns. Niley thought inwardly in his heart as he started to get busy. The complex level of these inscription patterns was even causing trouble for Niley as he continued to try breaking it. I wonder who laid this thing down. The one doing it should have a cultivation above legend rank. They must be trying to conceal something by laying down such a complex inscription pattern. Niley guessed in his heart. If an expert of that level is trying to conceal something, then casually taking the thing from within would have huge benefits for Niley. Niley deduced these inscription patterns again and again as he slowly broke them. His every move was very careful, because these inscription patterns are extremely dangerous. Even a legend rank expert would be easily killed if he carelessly activated them. Calculating these inscription patterns is a very complex process. A legend rank inscription pattern master is even rarer than a legend rank expert. Before the Age of Darkness, being an inscription pattern master was a very respected job. And the one that laid these inscription patterns before him was above legend rank. Niley couldn't help having some anticipation. Just what kind of treasure is inside this cliff wall? The inscription patterns were being broken by Niley, one by one. First, he broke the 6 offensive inscription patterns, then the 3 sealing inscription patterns. The 3 sealing inscription patterns were even more complex than the offensive inscription patterns. I never thought that there would be someone from the human tribe that was actually able to reach the heavenly fate realm in this world. Niley thought to himself. Originally, the thought that only demon beasts can reach the heavenly fate realm in this world. He never thought that there was someone from the human tribe that was able to reach the heavenly fate realm as well. After 3 hours, Niley managed to finish breaking the 3 sealing inscription patterns. When he finished breaking the inscription patterns, the cliff wall started to tremble. The wall gradually opened up. Looking into the opening, Niley saw that it's a serene and deep cave. The cave is damp, droplets of water would fall to the ground, converge together and became a stream of water. He has no idea where this deep cave leads to. It's as I thought, something is being concealed here. This should be where they stored their treasure. Niley hiddenly thought in his heart. A capable person is always daring. After surveying the surrounding and confirmed that there was no danger, Niley walked inside. Droplets of water were falling from the top of the cave, giving off a clear and crisp sound that echoed far into the deep cave. Every step that Niley took was particularly careful. The surrounding walls were filled with offensive inscription patterns. If he ignited any of them, he'd be a dead man. If it wasn't for the fact that he can tell what these inscription patterns are, even if an expert like Yezone was here, there would only be death. A large amount of effort was needed for just these inscription patterns. Just what, exactly, is so formidable in this cave? Niley couldn't help anticipation rising in his heart. At the corner of the cave, there's something that was emitting a dazzling light. Niley took a few steps forward, towards the direction of the light. His eyesight also began to expand. This is a huge cave, filled with purple crystals the size of the lower half of a millstone. He has no idea what those are, nor how they were emitting faint purple light, illuminating this cave, when there is no light to shine onto them. In the middle of this cave was a huge pond. Black-colored spring water was coming out from the top, but the pond wasn't overflowed. Who knows where it was flowing to? Niley surveyed his surroundings. After confirming that there wasn't any traps in the surrounding area, he walked up to it in relief. The surrounding area of the black spring also has a mysterious inscription pattern array, supporting a huge barrier. Could it be that the treasure is inside the black spring? Niley thought in his heart. He has to break the barrier before he can see if there is any poison in the water so he can make a decision. He looked over his surroundings again. There practically isn't any visible exit. Suddenly, Niley noticed that beside the black spring, there was something underneath the rock wall. With a move of his heart, he followed the rocks that were on the edge of the black spring. Niley slowly climbed over and landed on a flat rock. After examining it a while and confirmed that there wasn't any danger, Niley had his eyes on a pile of bones. There were fragments of 6 corpses. The bodies have already rotted away, leaving only a few remnants of bones behind. These bones have also pretty much decayed. But even so, Niley could still sense a rush of energy. This energy seems to be similar to Soul Force, but it also seems to be a level above Soul Force. He examined the remaining bones. There were many items dispersed around here, various kinds of armors and weapons. But, of course, they have all been covered with a layer of dust. After looking at the inscription patterns on these armors and weapons, he realized that they all seemed to be legend rank items. There were dozens of items left behind by these people. These armors and weapons were greatly damaged, but he can touch up a bit and they should be good to use again. Legend rank armors and weapons, said Niley, sweeping his eyes over these corpses. He has no idea who they were. Taking a dead person's items can be considered as a little bad luck. However, these items cannot be wasted. Niley placed all the armors and weapons into his interspatial ring. After searching over the corpses a little more, Niley realized that there were interspatial rings on the fingers of these people. He removed the interspatial rings from them and gave searched their insides. Inside every last one of these interspatial rings has the space of a few hundred meters in circumference. Sure enough, they really are legend rank experts. Even the interspatial rings that they used are good items. Niley exchanged one of the interspatial rings on his finger. Although time inside the interspatial ring flows slowly, the food and elixirs have all completely rotted away. Aside from food and elixirs, Niley still discovered a wasted demon crystal. Items like demon crystals will waste away to such degree after a few hundred years. If they are placed in an interspatial ring, tens of thousands of years may have passed. Could it be that these guys are people from tens of thousands of years ago? Niley was surprised in his heart. Aside from the wasted demon crystal, Niley found quite a bit of good stuff inside. There's a set of wind spirit armor inside the interspatial ring that is suitable for himself. This set of armor is as thin as a cicada's wing, extremely soft, and the size is adjustable. After wearing it, even a legend rank expert wouldn't be able to easily break through the defense of this armor. A pinnacle legend rank expert would have their attacks reduced by at least 90%. Furthermore, this thing can be worn on the inside and not be noticed by others. This is a good item. Just this wind spirit armor alone is already worth the trip. Although a long period of time has passed, the wind spirit armor was placed in the interspatial ring and didn't show any signs of damage. It can be worn straight away. Niley removed his outer clothes and put the wind spirit armor on, then he put his clothes back on. He didn't feel even a little discomfort while wearing it. Niley lightly smiled. With this wind spirit armor, he will have even more life guarding capital. After searching a while, and unable to find anything else, Niley walked back to the black spring. The barrier on the black spring isn't going to be easy to break, however, to Niley at least, it's not an impossible task. Through the barrier, Niley could sense some kind of majestic energy being accumulated inside. This kind of energy, if he can absorb them and train, he might be able to break through to black gold rank in one go. With a move of his heart, Niley hurriedly looked for some methods to break through the barrier around the black spring. This inscription pattern array should have been laid down by those dead people. This barrier can maintain the energy inside to limit the amount of energy being dispersed. Just what were these people trying to conceal? Niley thought in his heart as he sat down and began calculating a breaking method. No matter what they were trying to hide, it's impossible to stop him with just this inscription pattern array. Just when Niley sat down and was preparing to break the inscription pattern array, a faint figure slowly appeared above the pond. It's a beautiful woman with an unparalleled appearance. She looks to be roughly around 25 or 26 years old. She's wearing a black muslin, has slender long brows, and clear eyes that showed an indescribable sacred and pure look. Under the muslin, the curves of her figure could be seen. However, Niley does not have any obscene thoughts, he was only quietly admiring her as he pondered. He's wondering who this beauty is, to leave a hint of her soul here. The real physique of this beauty probably has a strength that exceeds legend rank. He never thought that there would be such an expert in the divine continent. This lady has piqued Niley's curiosity. In his previous life, when he left the divine continent, he thought that only demon beasts can reach the realm of heavenly faith. He has no idea what this lady encountered for her to only be left with a broken soul. However, by right, even if it's just a broken soul, it should still have its own consciousness with this kind of expert. While Niley was looking at the beauty above, pondering his thoughts, the beauty suddenly opened her eyes. The atmosphere above the black spring instantly changed, turning into an endless sea of stars. Her eyes are deep and moving, emitting a kind of faint light as though she could see through everything. There was also a faint flame ignited over the surface of her body, as a red layer of clouds covered her cheeks. If it's any other person, they would definitely be attracted and be distracted by her beauty. However, Niley's eyes were still calm. After experiencing a long amount of years, aside from Yazim, there is only a small amount of people that can cause his heart to palpitate. Niley noticed the blazing energy covering her body. The energy seems to be a level higher than soul force. I have waited for several tens of thousands of years. I never thought that there would finally be people arriving here. Young man, what's your name? Her voice was very faint, and was irregularly changing. My name is Niley. Niley calmly gave an answer and said, may I know who you are? She lightly said, my name is Yu Yan, the fire spiritual god. Great translation quality. Chapter 196, Give it a try. Translator, Furia Editor, Furia. Fire Spiritual God. Niley recalled the snow wind spiritual god that was summoned in the City Lord's mansion. At that point of time, Niley had curiosity towards the snow wind spiritual god. The snow wind spiritual god only had a trace amount of thoughts and already had such frightening strength, reaching the pinnacle of legend rank. Niley previously thought that the snow wind spiritual god was a creature from a different world. However, this woman claims to be a spiritual god. Could she be the same as the snow wind spiritual god, the same kind of creature? He pondered in his heart. This woman should be an expert that has reached the heavenly fate realm. Once a legend rank steps into the heavenly fate realm, their lifespan would be endlessly extended. Unless there is some kind of special situation, they won't die. Upon reaching that level, no matter how many legend rank experts there are, they won't be able to become a heavenly fate realm expert's opponent. Just like before the Age of Darkness, thousands of legend rank experts ganged up against a demon beast that stepped into the heavenly fate realm, but that only led to the great disaster of humanity. Emperor Kongming, Spiritual Gods, the Temporal Demon Spirit Book. There are still too many mysteries in this world. Perhaps this world is even more complicated than Niley saw in his previous life. Niley could sense that this woman that self-proclaimed herself to be a spiritual god isn't the same as those experts in his previous life that stepped into the heavenly fate realm. Yu Yan's image looked at Niley, showed a faint gentle smile on her face and said, "We're the spiritual gods of this world, in control of all kinds of laws in the heavens and earth. I am in control of fire, it's just that my physical body has been dissipated. My divine spark has been destroyed, becoming extremely small clusters of dust that has scattered to every corner of this world. However, we, spiritual gods, are indestructible. After a few tens of thousands of years, my divine spark will gradually regather together and reform my physical body. Indestructible spiritual gods." Niley frowned his brows. Even if it's a heavenly fates expert, they would not be able to reform themselves back together after having their bodies shattered into clusters of dust. Just what is a spiritual god? Seeing the doubts in Niley, Yu Yan said, "Spiritual gods are the gods of this world. Every main world can only have 36 spiritual gods. One subsidiary realm can only have one spiritual god. They wield one law from the heavens and earth. All spiritual gods represent the world's laws. Since ancient times, among the 36 spiritual gods in our main world and all the affiliated 72 spiritual gods from the subsidiary worlds, 1/4 are represented by humanity, 2/4 are by demon beasts and 1/4 is by other living creatures. They are the powerful rulers of this world." Yu Yan slowly said, "In order to contest over the laws, the tribes that we have control of unfolded an endless amount of killing. In the end, many spiritual gods were extinguished. Some were like me, and had their divine sparks destroyed and physical bodies ceased to exist. We wield the laws of the heavens and earth. Such as myself, I control the law of fire. Only when I'm truly dead and have lost the control over the law of fire, the next one can take over the law of fire and become the new fire spiritual god," said Yu Yan. "Tens of thousands of years ago, the demon beast clan tried to kill all the spiritual gods of our human clan to gain control of our laws, which is why they launched a battle against the human clan. Although we combined our